sit on you.
With the lights out already. Well, good to have you all here this evening. This is our Elite Spotter class. How many of you have been through the Elite Spotter class before? Okay, a couple of you. Great to have you back, and for all the rest of you, welcome for the first time. It is a pretty lengthy class, obviously, but we do expect to be out here absolutely no later than midnight. So just no. We did one Monday night and we got done at 9:15. It's me and another guy. Tonight it's me and Kelly, me and Mike York, who's in the back there. He'll be taking over about midway through, and so we're going to tag team tonight because it is a lengthy class. But like I said, we got through 9:15, including the exam. Don't get too worked up about the exam. Really, we need to call it a quiz, something instead of an exam. We really, those of you that have taken it before, we're really not changing it yet. We will be changing it after this year. So we will stop and take a break a couple times, about an hour from now, again at 8 o'clock. If you haven't found them yet, you go down this hallway right here to the very end. There's restrooms at the end on the right there. These down here, don't go there, they're locked, but in that hall there. So. Any questions for me before we get started? All right. Well, I hope you'll enjoy what we had to share with you tonight. It's a lot of different information from the different products we issue for severe weather to building upon the concepts of severe weather that you learned in the Spotter Concepts course. And also we have some radar information. A lot about mobile spotting, positioning yourself when spotting, some very practical advices there, and a few other things that are mixed in through the course of the night. So with that, we'll get going here. So I think we're good here. All right, the spotter sign-up form, again, you have the link there, but if you want to receive spin messages, and spin messages stands for Spotter Information Notification. It is just a way for us to let you know we have a big event coming over the next several days. If we see something on the screen, so to speak, it could present some severe weather, a flooding issue, a high wind issue in the wintertime, a winter storm type situation. We send out spin messages. We don't do that often, maybe once or twice a month. But in order to get those, among other reasons to do the sign-up form that I alluded to, is to get the spin messages. And just to be real honest with you, of all the training we do, we have hundreds, if not a few thousand of these that we used to give out the forms and you fill it out and we take it back. When we do that, honestly, it's summertime sometime before we can get all those input into our computer. We get like some student interns or something in the office because there's just too many of them for us to keep up with. But by you going online here and doing it, it's a handout, you can get it in there right away. If we did a spin message, next week, then you would get that message about any upcoming potentially major weather situations. We also use that too to let you know if we have some training coming up periodically. Like a month or so ago, I sent them out, said we had these elite classes coming up and that kind of thing. So a heads up on that. But mostly used for weather systems moving in that we're concerned with. Now, hopefully you're keeping up with that anyways through watching the different products and getting on our website, whatever favorite weather source you have, and staying up to date like that. This is just another way to do that. All right, as far as the class tonight, to get credit, you have to be here for the entire course. Complete the course quiz. We're actually not going to do it. We have a little exercise we do sometimes, but we added some other stuff on that. And you should have attended the Spotter Concepts course. We're not asking if you haven't. It's okay if you're brave enough to be here tonight, but that really gives you the foundation for what we're talking about this evening. As far as our spotters, the importance, of course, is ground information. Mike and I were talking about driving up here tonight, you know, how radar, sometimes it just doesn't show you what's actually occurring at the ground. And it's a kind of disturbing, honestly, sometimes when, you know, when there's such a difference as there is from what's actually happening versus what the radar is showing. And it's great. I mean, the radar is, you know, when you compare it to what we had 30, 40 years ago, it's phenomenal. But it's still far from perfect. And so your ground truth reports are very important for that reason, to help us do the best we can on issuing the warnings, getting people in harm's way to take action. And that is really the most important, to be honest with you, probably in many ways, that's the most important component of you making your report, is that it gets people to take action. You know, maybe we already have a tornado warning out, and then we get a spot report of a tornado or a funnel cloud. And many times, and we know this from our studies that we have, where we partner with some universities across the United States, many people, sometimes I call them knuckleheads, will not take action until they get additional information. The warning's not good enough. Maybe they get the warning on the weather radio, maybe they hear the sirens, you know, but a lot of times it takes even a call from somebody. But one thing that is at the top of the list is reports of the actual phenomena from trained spotters. That will prompt them to take action a lot of times when some of the other things will not. Your reports, information is also used with, for the data at the Storm Prediction Center. We'll talk a lot about them tonight. Our National Climatic Data Center. Mike is our storm data program leader at the office. All the storm damage that occurs across our whole area, we feed that to him, and he compiles this lengthy report, and it's sent to the National Climatic Data Center, and that's available to anybody. You know, the industry uses it, individuals use it, different meteorologists for research, different things like that. Sometimes attorneys use it, whatever. It's there for any and everybody. Insurance companies, they're a big user of it. Police for investigation if there's accidents, whatnot. Also, clearinghouse information, of course, for all the broadcast media and on the internet. They want that information, and that comes from you. As far as making your report, the number one way to make it is the spotter hotline. You've already got it in previous classes. It's also on the back or one side of the resource guide here tonight. The new eSpotter, which is doing it online, I'll show you that exact way to get to that tonight, which I don't think we had up in the previous courses. Our website just changed in the last 2 or 3 weeks, so we've been going through a transition there and getting some of this updated. NWS Chat, some of our county emergency managers are on NWS Chat. If you work through them, spotting, they may utilize that to feed your report into us if you report it to them. That's just another way that is utilized. Amateur radio, any amateur radio operators in here? Okay, a couple of you, great, yeah. And we're active in amateur radio at the office. We have some volunteers that come in there. We have a couple Inwood radios there, 2 meters, and HF rig as well. And then also Twitter. That's another increasingly popular way to get reports. We don't cover that here tonight. We did it in the spotter contest. But if you make a report via Twitter, be sure and use the hashtag PAHSpotter. It's short for Paducah and Spotter. That way we know it's from a spotter if you make your report through Twitter. Not a good way to make reports. It's okay for maybe the day after and you got pictures or whatever, but not during real time. All right, what I want to do, and this is kind of where I diverge a little bit from what we've done before in our late class. I want to go through the Storm Prediction Center products and as well as our watches and warnings tonight, and kind of especially given some changes that have just taken place with those. The first tier of product lets you know something's happening, you know, up to a few days out, up to 8 days out, is the outlook, the Storm Prediction Center outlook. And the Storm Prediction Center, by the way, is a part of the National Weather Service. Sometimes we wrongfully say, you know, the Storm Prediction Center. acts like we act like it's a different entity, but part of the National Weather Service. It's our national center that generates the outlooks and the watches. The watches are a little bit more of a coordination issue with the weather forecast offices versus the outlooks, which they just put out. So the outlooks they are an outlook of any potential severe weather in the next 8 days. And it's a big area like you see here, you know, typical area covering parts of several states. Then the next, you know, honing in both spatially and also time-wise is the watch. The watch is a smaller area, of course, generally valid between 3 and 6, 7 hours, something like that. And you know, there's more of a specific threat. Every time we get to a watch, we know is the threat going to be more tornadoes, or is it going to be more severe thunderstorms? And that's why we have tornado watches versus severe thunderstorm watches. Sometimes the Storm Prediction Center, we always get on a conference call with them before a watch is issued for our area. It's just the Storm Prediction Center and the weather forecast offices. That's only 2 entities on there. And most of the time, you know, it's pretty clear. They'll say, you know, we want to issue a tornado watch for your area. Sometimes it's marginal, and then they'll ask, you know, would y'all rather go severe thunderstorm watch or tornado watch? And it depends on, you know, what the data we've been looking at, and we'll make a decision, make a recommendation. We'll also hash with them a little bit on the counties to include or not include on the watch. So it's, like I said, it's a collaborative process when it comes down to the watch, more so. And in the morning, of course, that's when we really zone in time-wise and threat-wise. And the area is much smaller. The duration of the warning, of course, is a much smaller window, generally between 20 minutes and an hour. Tornado warnings tend to be smaller in duration, 20 to 40 minutes, maybe average. Severe thunderstorm warnings more like 40 minutes to an hour or so on average. And it covers parts of several counties, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But first, we'll talk a little bit more about the outlook stage. And it's the real key to planning ahead. You can also look at our hazardous weather outlook. We call it the HWO. It's on our website, which is really a summary of the Storm Prediction Center outlook. Plus, if there's any other concern in the next week, any type of bad weather, we're going to have it in our hazardous weather outlook, like heavy rain, for example. SPC won't be so much focused on heavy rain. They're going to be focused on tornadoes, large hail, and damaging wind events. You can also check our forecast discussion. Does anybody in here ever look at our forecast discussion? Okay, about half a dozen or so of you. You know, it just depends on how much you want to dig down. If you want to dig into some of this, a little bit more technical stuff, you can get more information. And frankly, there's times if you're an avid AFD reader, forecast discussion reader, you might get to the grocery store and get your milk and bread before anybody else does, you know, when winter storm's coming. Because you can see information in there that we might be kind of hinting at you that, hey, we're about to issue a winter storm watch for this winter storm, and we're just, you know, going through it in our minds, and maybe we don't do it, and we'll say something like, we'll leave for the next shift or whatever, but you know it's heavy on our mind, and you can find that information in AFD that you really may not quite find anywhere else. So, you know, the thing in the outlook stage is check the Storm Prediction Center convective outlooks. I'll show you how in a minute. Check our website. One thing we do, if we expect a major event to unfold, whether it be a tornado outbreak, whether it be a winter storm, like a couple of them that we had this past winter, we notify all emergency managers and some other key officials and say, hey, we're going to do a conference call. And we all get on a conference call from the area we cover, parts of 4 states, and we tell them, you know, what we expect to happen. And it also provides an opportunity for them to ask questions. It's a short call, 10 to 20 minutes typically, but when we do the call, we record it. Immediately after we record it, it's available on our website. I say immediately, within 10 minutes or so, along with whatever visual aids, some slides that we utilized for the conference call. So you can see that and hear that if you would like to. And it's on our website. And I'll try to remember and show you how to get to that too here in just a minute. But what you do when you do that is you find out what the main threat is, where it wins the best chance, and where all the key things about a major weather event coming up. All in that little stage. Okay, now for years and years, the Storm Prediction Center has issued outlooks, 4 categories of severe. There's actually a non-severe general thunderstorms, and if in that category, it just means thunderstorms are expected, but none are expected to be severe. Just typical, type thunderstorms. But there are used to be the 4 categories that were kind of in the severe realm: the C-tax, the slight risk, the moderate risk, and the high risk. But we've added to that. We've changed that and added to it, I should say. And that just happened a few months ago, and that's why I want to spend some time talking about it here this evening. We now have the marginal, which is an actual outline area. So that's the lowest end of the severe thresholds is the marginal. Okay? There's the general thunderstorm, which is technically not severe, so I don't have it on here. Then there's the marginal. And before the C-tax, it just was on the map, it said C-tax. And you had to literally look at the text, and it was kind of hard to tell sometimes even the exact area they were talking about. But now it's actually outlined so you know the exact area, and it's the marginal risk. Then we have the slight risk, just like before. So that's the second level, the slight risk. Then the third level is the enhanced risk. It basically replaced the upper end of the slight risk. And you could see that in the past, kind of if you went to the probabilities. Has anybody in here ever gone and looked at the probabilities for severe weather that corresponded to these? Okay, 3 of you. But you know what I'm talking about. You could look at that. The old 30% for the slight risk is now basically an enhanced risk. And then, just as before, we now have a moderate risk, which is generally bad news. You don't want to see a moderate risk. And you definitely don't want to see a high risk. But we do get those. A given year, I used to say we have a few dozen, at least 2 or 3 dozen slight risk days, and maybe 2 to 5 or so moderate risk days, and maybe 1 high risk day, but some years maybe we skip and not even have a high risk. So high risk is very rare, moderate risk is pretty rare. It's not often at all that we get a moderate risk. Thursday night, what this category we were in? Yep, and so it was, it was a concern, but it didn't turn out too bad. We did have a little wind damage. We had a couple weak tornadoes and some hail as well across the area. But it was flirting with, there was a little discussion kind of about maybe going to a moderate risk, a low and moderate risk with that event, but it was maintained at the enhanced level. Here's just a chart, and this you can find on the Storm Prediction Center website, which is spc.noaa.gov. It's on that green, no, it's on the white handout there. So this exact chart's on there. So I would take some time to look at that. But again, there's the 5 levels, 1 through 5 of the thunderstorm risk categories, and then there's the no risk category, just general thunderstorm. And I kind of like this because it's sort of lining up with other things we do. For example, hurricanes, we have them up to a category 5. We have tornadoes up to an EF5, that kind of thing. So I like the way we need to keep things simple and lined up across the board, I think, to get people to understand it better. So, but there's more description on there if you want to read that. Like, enhanced numerous severe storms possible, moderate, widespread severe storms likely, and high widespread severe storms expected. All right, I'll give you a couple examples of how the outlooks used to look as compared to how they would look now. Here's an outlook. This is that general thunderstorm area in the green, and then a slight risk. Now, if that was issued, it would look like this. And the reason we know that is because there were probabilities assigned to this old outlook. There was additional data in here that you can't see that had percentage numbers on it. And so they basically just took those percentage numbers and gave it a category that corresponded to it. So this darker green here is the marginal risk. Then you have the slide, then you have the hand. So you have the 3 risk levels on this new outlook. And here's yet another one, but this is an old one with a moderate and a high risk. And here's what it would look like. Whoops. Wow. Somehow I've lost my graphic there. Let me see if I can find it on here. Yeah. In the new world. So the moderate and high are in the same area. Those are unchanged. And the slide is unchanged, but we have the 2 new levels, the marginal and the enhanced. So here we have all 5 severe risk levels, of course, with the IV behind. I'll just give you a little idea how it would look. The enhanced area, okay, the slight risk is a 15% probability area. And you know, I hesitate to say too much about this because I don't want to dig into it too deep, but basically the old slight risk, it had 15% and a 30% area. And anytime you look at a percent on any of the Storm Prediction Center graphics, it means that within 25 miles of any point in that 30% area, there's a 30% likelihood of having severe weather, which is 1 inch hail or 58-mile-an-hour winds or stronger, or tornadoes. Okay. If it's hatched here, go ahead and say that. If you ever see a hatched area, that means there is that, whatever the percent is, possibility of significant severe. Okay, significant severe is another level higher than regular severe. You have this severe, 1 inch, 58-mile-an-hour winds. Significant severe, does anybody know what that is? If you ever hear a Storm Prediction Center talk about significant severe, it's 75 miles an hour or greater winds. It's hail 2 inches or bigger, or it's strong or violent tornadoes, EF2 or above tornadoes. Anytime it's hatched, graphically, that means significant severe. And it means that they are forecasting the possibility of any of those 3 things when they have the hatched area or the significant severe area. So, the bottom line, with all that said, just to keep it simple, hatched is not good. Okay, it's better when the areas are they're not hatched. But if the numbers are very high, it's going to be hatched. You're not going to have a 60% area out there, most likely, and the Storm Prediction Center not have it hatched. And when you look at the day 1 outlook, the Storm Prediction Center breaks it down to, you normally just have the categorical 5 levels I just told you about. But on day 1, they break that down, whether it's an enhanced risk day or a moderate risk day or whatever. They break it down to its components, which are tornado, wind, and hail, which I just referred to. So here, within this hatched area, there is a 30% probability for hail 2 inches or bigger within 25 miles of any point in that area. If it's in the 45% area, then it's a 45% chance of that happening. So again, just a way to glean some additional information if you want to dig into that a little bit more. Tornadoes, this whole area here is hatched. So there's right up here, for example, there's a 15% or greater possibility of tornadoes of EF2 or greater strength in 25 miles of a point in that area is technically how it's supposed to be said. 45% chance down there around Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which, by the way, this was the 2011 outbreak. Now there's a chart here. There's a method to the Storm Prediction Center madness. I'm not going to go through this. It's not important that you remember it. Just to let you know, there is a method to how they assign marginal risk, high risk, enhanced, moderate, high risk, etc. And here's something that's kind of interesting for If they have a 45% area for tornadoes, it equates to a high-risk severe weather day. But it's 45% for wind, it's only an enhanced. Same thing with hail. So it depends on which parameter, tornado, wind, or hail, and how much they've got it rated as to whether they're going to say slight, moderate, enhanced, high, etc. So, anyways, does that kind of generally make sense to you? You get the kind of picture of it. I know it's a lot of detail there, but I just want you to understand a little bit how with the new 5 categories, and that's really the main thing is understanding the 5 categories. Here they all are. This was the deadliest tornado day in recent years, April 27, 2011. Tuscaloosa and many other killer tornadoes in the deep south. And your high risk, moderate risk, slight risk, enhanced risk, marginal risk, and your general thunderstorm area there. So just more detail for you to see out there now than times past. So just a quick review once again. Marginal risk is the lowest level of severe, and slight risk, enhanced risk, moderate, and high. That's the main thing to know right there. It's 5 levels. You get nothing else. Now what I just talked about, just be sure you understand the order of those different levels. It's kind of spelled out for you when you look at the maps anyways. But there's also a change now to the day 4 through 8 outlook. And that is they used to only outline a 30% area in the day 4 through 8. And it's very unusual, by the way, to see an outlined area in days like 7, 8, even maybe day 6. Usually it's days 4 and 5 is what you're normally going to see it in. It's got to be I would be really concerned if I see SPC having a outlined area day 7 or day 8. I mean, that could be one of those big monster systems moving in potentially. It could change and not be, but it's got to have a good strong signal for them to be indicating something that far out. But the change once again is now 15% area, which means there is going to be more outlined areas in days 4 through 8 than in the past, because they used to just do 30. So the threshold is lower. How do you get to those? You click on our website, which is weather.gov/Paducah. Hopefully you've already known that. And then click on current hazards and then outlooks right there. And that will get you to everything that I've been talking about. There's one other. Oh, and if you want to look at our local hazardous weather outlook, it's always right here. So you can click right there just to the right of the map at the bottom. And that's our text product, again, for the next week, what we expect, and that will incorporate the Storm Prediction Center website. So if I was a busy person and I just wanted to know, just give me the bottom line, I'm busy the next week, is anything going to happen bad weather-wise or not, I would click on that right there. And that way you're covered, whether it's a heavy rain event, a tornado event, or whatever, anything of concern at all for the next week. Take care of you. Okay, any questions about the outlooks before I move on to the watches? Actually, I lied a little bit. Before we move on to the watches, I want to show you something, some real live weather here. Well, let's look at, just real briefly, here's the current day 1 outlook, which is valid today through tonight. Day 1's always today, tonight. And you can see they've got we're into just the general thunderstorm. We had a few thunderstorms around today, not much. In the marginal area, slight risk, and the enhanced in the panhandle area there. What I wanted to show you mainly was, and some of you are on top of things pretty good because you've already mentioned this. If you look to day 4, we are outlined. Day 4 would be when? I always have to think about this myself. Day 1's today and tonight. Day 2 is tomorrow's Friday. Day 3 is Saturday. Day 4 is Sunday and Sunday night. It actually is that day and that night always. And and of course, it's always changing. So, Sunday night, we have the Storm Prediction Center has us in a 15% outlined area. So it's not that terribly big a deal. It's day 4, but I would be watching it. You know, it could wind up being a little something to it. I know we have, like, I think 40% chance of thunderstorms Sunday or Sunday afternoon and 60% Sunday night. So probably an afternoon into the evening type of an event. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And when you click on that, if you scroll down here, here's the discussion. Each outlet has a discussion tied to it. And here's the part that kind of relates to us. They say, one of the things in the plains overrun will become more of an open wave and ejected to the mid-Mississippi Valley, which is basically getting into our area on Sunday or day 4, just ahead of a southeastward moving and deepening northern plains overflow. The GFS and European, that's just 2 different weather models, 2 of the main ones. They say are in good agreement to introduce a slight risk for portions of Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas, and far western Kentucky and Tennessee for Sunday afternoon and evening. So, I mean, if you read it, if you just look at the outlook, you say, well, it's something there, but, maybe there won't ever be a risk category. Well, they're saying right here, the way it looks right now, it's in good enough agreement for a slight risk for us for Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. So, stay in tune with the outlooks.